So the question I got in the chat was like this. Okay, clear about visibility. Okay, visibility modes. So I will explain this visibility mode with an example. So first, let's assume that you have created a class. Let's name it class A, or let's name it class vehicle. Okay, vehicle class. For now, we are giving it one variable. There's integer name and integer. This is a private and a public variable and a protected variable. Okay, integer. Let's give it a private name. Then let's declare a protected variable. Uh, integer. Okay, there should not be any space between the variable name in C C++. And then let's declare a public variable, integer public name. So these are the three variables of the class. It has nothing else. Okay, now what we can do whenever we are inheriting this class, okay, there's three options there. We have multiple options. Okay, what we can do while inheriting this class, okay, let me just close this one and open a new. So this is our class and we want to inherit this. So whenever we inheriting this class, okay, if we go back to the slide, you'll see that whenever we are doing inheritance, what we do, we first write the class, new class name, then the visibility mode and the base class name. So in our case, okay, let's start with a new class and let's start the class. Let's name it, what should I name it? Okay, let's name it automobile one, just for remembering name. Then we can decide that whether we want to inherit this class as a private or public, or we can use it as a protector. So for now, let's use the simplest one, that is the public. Okay, so if we inherit this class as a public, so we have to write public vehicle. So this is one thing. Okay, so what we can do, this is one way, we can use class automobile 2 protected 3, class automobile 3 private. So these are the three ways we can inherit the class. Now we will see what happens in all the cases. Okay, so what is the difference, like what in a public vehicle or protected vehicle or private vehicle? So let's come back to this table. This table actually helps us to understand what happens. So if the visibility of the base class was public, let's start with the easy one, the third one. Okay, so if it's public, we are talking about this third one now. So this is which one? The public vehicle. So in that case, let's here what we have a private variable named private, we have a protected, and we have a public. We have three variables. Remember, all the names are same: private name, protected name, and public name. Now if we come back here to the slide, if we use a public visibility mode, the public variable will remain as a public variable. The protected will remain protected, but the private, okay, it will not be inherited. That means in this case, this case, if we use public, okay, public will remain public, protected will remain protected, but the private will not be accessible. That means in this first case, we will not be able to inherit this variable. Let's go for the next one. We will so which one is the next one? If we do a private derivation, what happens in that case? Okay, so in case of private derivation, public variable becomes private, protected variables also become private, and the private variables are not inherited. That means if we go back here, okay, if we use a private visibility, we will not be able to access this one. So this one is out of the question. This protected, will act now as a private variable. This public variable will also act as a private variable. Now there are different reasons for doing this. Okay, let's not go to the reasons of behind that. That's another discussion. For now, let's just focus here. Okay, so what happens if we do this? Then the last is the number 3, uh, is this one, protected derivation. So you see, in the case of protected, public becomes protected, protected remains protected, and private is not inherited. Now there are different ways you can interpret this table, but doesn't matter how you do it. The basic idea is this. If we go back here, so whenever we do a public visibility mode or public derivation, okay, public variables stays public. Let me erase this. Oh, my bad. Okay, it's erasing everything. I have to be very careful about, yeah. Now, okay. So when we are doing public, the first case, public remains public, protected remains protected, private is not accessible. So this is our case 1. So let's make a table. Case 1, case 2, and case 3. So that table is basically summarizing this one. Okay. So public remains public, protected remains protected, private is not accessible. This is the first one. That's why I've written one case. If we do protected, in that case public becomes protected, but still we can access it. Protected remains protected, but private is not accessible. If we do a private, in that case what happens? In case of private, private is not accessible, protected becomes private, and public becomes private. So I hope this example makes things a little bit easier to understand for you.